story of how we adopted from Russia has so many different chapters.
I always wanted a big family. In fact, I always told Sue I really wanted to have 5 children.
After we had Andrew and Stacy, life and jobs and health concerns got in the way, so we were a happy family with 2 beautiful children. But God was moving in our lives and in our hearts, and He had a plan.
In 2003, our church coordinated some mission trips to an orphanage in Honduras. We decided that Andrew and I would go. I was really touched by the needs of the children in the orphanage and wished there was more that I could do.
Little did we know that at that same time, 3 beautiful children were entering the orphanage system thousands of miles away in a small village in Russia, and that in a few short years, those children would be joining our family.
After returning from Honduras, Sue and I began to talk about the possibility of adopting, and right away, Sue said she always felt an unexplainable connection to Russia. So we explored adopting from Russia.
But again, life and jobs and finances got in the way, and before we knew it, a few years had gone by, and we had all but given up on the idea of adopting.
Then a chance meeting with a friend who had adopted reunited our adoption dreams. We reopened our adoption files and re-explored the possibility. This time it seemed like it was God's timing because everything just seemed to fall into place.
Within a few short months, we were on our way to Moscow.
We were on a blind trip, which meant we had no advanced information about who we might meet. In fact, we had applied for a sibling group of 2 children, but had almost no information about what siblings might be available.
And when we got to Moscow, we were told that the only sibling groups available were groups of 3 children, not 2. We almost got on a plane and went back home. How could we possibly adopt 3 children at a time? We lived in a tiny house and didn't have a large income.
But again, God had a plan. Our daughter Stacy was with us on this trip, and she encouraged us to stay and meet the children.
Seeing the orphanage was quite an eye-opener for me. Jim had been to an orphanage in Honduras, but I had never been to anything like it. However, I will say that even in tight quarters with meager supplies, the children all seemed healthy, and there was a school right next to the orphanage. So we were introduced to Lonya, Kolya, and Yulia. Lonya is the Russian nickname for Leonard. Kolya is the Russian nickname for Nicholas, and Yulia in English would be Julia. They were bright, inquisitive, and excited for the possibility of being adopted.
In the 3 years they had been institutionalized, we were the first family to inquire about adopting them.
We returned to Russia 8 weeks later to go to court and finalize the adoption and bring them home.
They didn't speak any English, so it was quite a cultural shock for them. We gave them new names to help them with their new fresh start in America. Daniel was 10, Connor was 9, and Caroline almost 7 at the time. In the beginning, we used a translator a lot.
They had also never been to church, and right from the start we began telling them that we were Christians and that we adopted them because we felt that God was leading us.
We shared our faith as a family and attended church together every week.
Slowly, they learned English, and they also let us know how thankful they were that God had sent them a family. After about a year, they each sat down with me one afternoon and asked Jesus into their hearts.
We also sent them to Christian summer camps, where they each experienced a deepening of their faith.
It was almost exactly 4 years from their adoption to their baptism.
Lead me closer, Lord, I need to meet you there.
We know that God has big plans for each of them.